Everybody, and welcome to Formula 2 and the opening practice session of the weekend. And we are all set for what is going to be an absolutely fantastic opening practice session. Rain is on the horizon. 45 minutes of action for the F2 lot to head out there. Welcome to practice qualifying for Formula 2 for the first time here on the YouTube channel. I am Joshua Burge. Joining me in the commentary box is Chris McCarthy and Tom Gamble from the World Feed commentary as well. We'll be hearing from them throughout the broadcast as well. Track temperature is currently at 26.2 degrees, air temperature 16.7, humidity at 65% as well and dropping. It's getting a bit cooler. The rain's starting to come in. We're in for an interesting session here as well. Some of the cars heading out onto the pit lane as well. Some decided to stay out there as well. Dennis Hauger and Johan Jaruvela, the only two still in the pit lane. Everybody else has returned to the circuit, as you can see, out there on the track. Hello, everybody. Welcome along. This is going to be a very entertaining session as well. I can't wait to see what is going to happen. Let's say good afternoon to Chris and to Tom.
Silverstone, and it is one of the circuits that you have corners where cars will work harder than any other sequence of corners in the world. Maggotts, Beckett's, up to Stowe, Copse as well, and of course the new turn one. I always say new, it's not quite the new turn one. It's Abbey and Farm down to Village. It's got a bit of everything. It's a very, very fast circuit and then a very, very technical circuit. Don't forget, you spend the most amount of time in the slower speed corners, so you need to be very, very good. And there is a bit of a compromise in terms of the setup of the cars as well to make sure that you can manage the load and you've got the rigidity and the downforce for the high-speed stuff, but you've also got the flexibility, if you like, that the car can roll and maximize the traction zones and be comfortable mechanically in the slower speed corners. So a bit of a headache for the engineers, but a real smile on the faces of all the drivers because this is a wonderful Grand Prix circuit.
Well, there is Taylor Pourchaire coming into pit lane. Second in the championship currently, 49 points back from championship leader Philippe Drugovich. Not the best of rounds for him last time out, a 7th and an 11th place finish for him at Baku, but he was on the podium at Monaco. Ran Philippe Drugovich, our championship leader, all the way to the flag in what was a fantastic race between them. One man who was on the podium was that man there, Frederic Vesti. A fantastic round for him last time out at Baku, getting onto the top step for the very first time in FIA Formula 2, and his main sponsor actually passed away recently, and it was a very emotional victory. You would have heard Frederic Vesti was hugely emotional when he came across team radio, and that was because he dedicated that win to his main sponsor, Tom.
Absolutely, and our thoughts and prayers are with the family as well, the sponsors who passed away, and the crew chiefs as well out there. It's all very difficult situation when you lose somebody, as well as the courage to fight on, really, and race on is always hard as well when you lose somebody who's close. But it's true determination out there, as we see with this circuit. 40 minutes to go then already. 5 minutes are down in this session. Do get in touch. We've got the YouTube chat open here as well, so you can keep in touch for the F2 British Grand Prix practice. What do you think of the new design? Formula 3 just had it as well, and now Formula 2's turn as well. We got a bit sick of the basic lookingness of the stream, so we literally turned it all the way around and switched it up as best we could in order to give us an actual proper decent looking stream. So we got the track stats as well. We've got the overall runnings of who's in and out the pit lane via race control messages. We've got the commentary still for Formula 2. That'll increase throughout the session as well. Got TweetDeck open as well. Just as much information as possible for you at home as well. And as soon as we get a driver tracker one of these days, you'll get it too. Enzo Fittipaldi out there on the circuit as well. He is on the hard compound tyre at the moment. No one changing over, it seems, to the others of softs or mediums. So it's an interesting run as they're heading out there. 22 cars in this session, so it's an awful lot of fun, guys.
12 laps further than a lot of the other drivers, and it meant he comfortably took the double victory. That's why he went and did it. So do you think we're going to see the drivers doing work, and how much work could they have done on the build-up to this weekend in the sim?
Look at those clouds.
Well, that's a white screen there.
A great view of the clouds there as we go on board with Ollie Caldwell. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Talking to the engineers, talking to Stefan from Carlin before this weekend, and he said we won't know how the soft tyre is going to react until the second runs in qualifying, and that's the problem. The trickery around Formula 2 is very difficult to simulate and predict, and when you make step changes and or changes for the tyre, all of the data from last year kind of goes into the bin, because don't forget, this is a new hard tyre, and then they haven't run the soft here as well. So it's a difficult weekend for the engineers, and some will get their heads around it, some won't. The soft tyre is actually a really good tyre, apparently, but it relies on temperature. Now, we've got unseasonably cool temperatures here at Silverstone. I mean, the air temperature 16 at the moment. Track temperature's only 26. And the problem with the soft tyre, when the track temperature's not there, is the graining. And so just what's that going to look like? We don't know yet. And so it's going to be really interesting to follow it through the weekend, and who suffers with that graining, and just how long can that soft tyre go. I mean, in qualifying, for example, talking to Liam Lawson yesterday, he was saying, well, it's going to be a grippier tyre, so over a lap it's awesome to be on the softer compound, so they're going to look forward to it in qualifying. But can they get the second run together in qualifying? Will it last 2 laps, or will it grain? And or how far can it go in the feature race? So lots of unknowns, and I love that about Formula 2.
It's a brilliant championship. That's why we love it. Marcus Armstrong, we saw there going to the top. He's been on a really consistent run of recent, it has to say, as Marcus Armstrong. I think that's been the word of the season so far, hasn't it, Tom? It's been consistency.
Well, it's kind of needed to be consistency as well, which is good news after last year as well in what happened in Saudi Arabia. But Fittipaldi sending out there as well, fastest in the first sector. It's we're trying to find out because it's just changed actually to Roy Nazani, who's done a 32.3. But Fittipaldi's first sector was a 32.5 as well. So Nazani was 200ths faster in that board. Any sign of rain yet, says Simthal. Yes, there is a bit of rain in the air. That's why we're seeing all 22 cars out there on the circuit now, because it is blowing in across the circuit. It could be a wet practice for Formula 1 coming up as well in 2 hours' time. As well, 2 hours 5 until the F1 practice starts as well. We've got our Grand Prix preview show. That's coming up at 12:10 British Summer Time. We'll be on air for that as well, taking you until 1:30. Then we will be back at 10 to 1 British Summer Time. 1 o'clock will be live for the practice session as well. Myself and Megan Birch will be commentating on that session as well. Fingers crossed all going to go well. And then I know, Cynthia, you're joining me later on in the box on F2, F3 as well. Josh Plays will be back around for practice 2 as well. Roy Nazani is top at the moment on a 1:43.519. That's Jan Jaruvula, who does the same time. David Beckman goes off at Abbey down at turn 1 and launches over a hidden bump there as well at the exit of Abbey and goes for a launch. Luckily he's okay. Hopefully he hasn't damaged his back in anything there as well. That's a horrible launch bump there from Beckman. Drugovich has gone top, Hughes second, Juvela third, Hauger fourth, Vips in fifth, and Yuri Vips has been one of the most controversial out there today as well. I'm sure you've all heard what he said when streaming Call of Duty using vulgar language. Red Bull have dropped him from the Red Bull driver program. And now he has kept his seat at High Tech in Formula 2. Formula 2 don't want him in the series. They've come out and said it as well. High Tech have kept him for the season for him to try and rectify his error and prove he is sorry with a shot at redemption. Nobody's buying it as well. Nelson Piquet has been thrown out of the F1 paddock for exactly the same words. Why Vips is still here, I've no idea, but Vips did crash out of his last race while leading in Baku, but still. Aha! F2 have just deleted his lap time for track limits as well, as Jack Doohan has set the new overall best at a 1:42.230 as well on the board. So a couple of changes out there, it seems. Little spots of rain on the camera lens in the pit lane as well. It is around Silverstone, the rain. Let's hope it's going to be okay as we come through. Back to Tom and Chris for a second.
With Marino Sato, who's currently down in 12th, but on a flyer.
Well, we can see Jack Doohan has gone to the top, one of 3 drivers to have been on pole this season. If the way things are going, Jack Doohan should be the one on pole this season, because 3 drivers have been going in rotation, basically, of starting on pole position. And if that rotates itself once more, then Jack Doohan should go towards the top, and was hugely consistent going across Barcelona, and Jack Doohan also scoring some great points back at Monaco as well. Oh dear, that's Dennis Hauger.
Hauger stopping! Hauger's got off the track somewhere. Yellow flag was briefly out. We've gone back to green though. So yellow flag was for a second out there. He's gone off down at turn 1 at Abbey and he's looped it back round Farm, now rejoined at Village. And I think it's been a half spin, like he's thrown it into the corner at Abbey. The rear's gone on him and he's drifted off the track. Let's have a replay now as well for Dennis Hauger. Is it, as I said, turns into Abbey, the right-hander, turns in, yet rear backs out, 360. He's going to jump over the bump, does about, instead of a 360, does about a 1280 as well. Spinning around once, twice, 3 times around as well, out there as well. So maybe 960, no, it was 1280 I'm being told as well. So turns into Abbey, turn 1, rear steps out, round he goes several times. And luckily not to fly off into the barrier that we saw. But that was the first yellow flag we've had all day, actually. And the first spinner we've had across the W Series, the F3 and now the F2. So Verschoor goes third ahead of Hughes. Verschoor's time is a 1:43.016. Hughes a 1:43.032 for Hughes.
Well, Jack Doohan quickest so far, 1:42.2. This is Jehan Daruvala running in 6th place, but purple through the second sector, quickest overall. Out of the final corner he goes and to the top there. 1:41.916, Jehan Daruvala. Now one of 2 drivers, Tom, who was here in recent weeks testing in Formula 1. He was here with McLaren. We also had Ollie Caldwell here testing with Alpine as well. Here's a replay of Liam Lawson, Tom.
Lawson at Cops Corner, passes some traffic.
Checker flag. CF Mag India have got in touch on Twitter saying we're in anticipation of chatter on Daruvala's test with McLaren. Well, yes, he was one of the drivers here testing, and that experience in a faster car and that time with the Formula 1 setup has certainly given him a boost in the early moments of this free practice session. Not always easy to step back though in terms of finding your reference points and your braking spots. So Daruvala, just because he's been in an F1 car, it won't mean that that necessarily translates to F2 pace, as Jack Doohan goes quickest of all. Made a bit of a Horlicks out of the final chicane there, out of the club chicane, but nevertheless enough to set a personal best, Sector 3, but that doesn't go with his session best, sections 1 and 2. So Jack Doohan, a good opening account for him in the Virtuosi. Teo Porcher second, and Daruvala third.
And just taking a look now at another backhander from Jake Hughes running off the track. And Abbey as well is going to go on that nasty bump as well, this time not at speed. Hello, Synthil says, I just arrived home, got F122, so just wanted to go home to start downloading. Got to go back to school in a minute, but when I'm done, I can home and play. Do you have F122? If not, I can do a lap around Silverstone and send it to you so you can use it in your intro. I have got F1 2022, but I've got it on the PC, and it's still not working all that well. So the lap attack has been done on an F1 2021 car, the Red Bull. But Synthil, if you want to record a lap of an F1 22 car, feel free, send it over, I'll voice it, see if we can get it in as well. So yeah, feel free, Synthil, always. So what does your forecast say for this weekend sessions? Well, because actually for once, we're in the UK, this studio, and this race is at Silverstone in the UK. So currently, in Grimsby it's raining, but at Silverstone, if I get it up as well, it's Silverstone, half in Northamptonshire, half in Buckinghamshire as well, this place. But we actually have it's in I'm going to get it right. Towchester is where you need to look at online. Towchester, that is where the circuit is. Right now, it says a 90% rain chance for Saturday. For today, though, looks okay, but the rain is coming in because the weather forecast around Silverstone can never be believed. Like Australia, it's the land of the four seasons as well, and one of them was Frankie Valley. Look, it's the racist, Yuri Vips, who's out there on the circuit now as well. Not mincing words, is he? And certainly neither am I. I don't agree with what he said. I think he shouldn't be in Formula 2. Formula 2 don't want him. And to be fair, Yuri Vips being in Formula 2 makes a mockery of everything Formula 1 and we stand for at the moment with fighting racism across the planet. And Vips, I think everybody will be booing him this weekend at Silverstone. Fittipaldi goes up to 4th place. Somebody you can cheer along on a 1:42.032 as well in this first session. Looking quite strong. Jack Doohan, fastest overall though, 1:41.563. Chris.
Just 2/10 behind, but Philippe Drugovich has just gone quickest. Overall, 1:41.552. So the championship leader to the top with MP Motorsport by 11 thousandths of a second. Doing his second. Marcus Armstrong for High Tech has just gone up to 3rd place. Brilliant time from him. There's just over 2/10 now between the top four. Jayan Darubala is 5th. Awasa is up to 6th place. Then it's Enzo Fittipaldi. We're watching Yuri Vips. He makes his way through the final corner now onto the start-finish straight. He's currently P8. He goes
second,
to P2.
3 thousandths off.
3 thousandths of a second back from Drugovich. Look how close it is, Tom.
Actually, according to my timing monitor, the gap is 0.000, but that's not correct. So the gap between Drugovich and there goes Poitier, 1:41.459. But the gap between Drugovich, Vips, and Doohan is incredibly tight as well. Just a couple of hundredths of a second separate them all as well. Poitier has separated it though. Drugovich to second. Doohan now with the fastest middle sector of anybody. Comes out the last corner, heads down to the line. Doohan top, 1:41.321. Nicely done there by Jack Doohan. As Halga's had his lap time deleted and dropped down into 22nd position. Theo Poitier to the top, 1:41.459, and that's because Doohan's lap time was deleted by the stewards.
Jack Doohan to move up, but what's happening? Yeah, you can just see there's so much. He's run wide there at Cox, so I wonder if that will be deleted, that lap time. But you can just see how difficult it is to control the temperatures in the rear tyres as we see him bouncing all over that abrasive curb on the exit of Cox. You don't want to get on that curb. It lifts the rear axle off the ground. You hit the limiter, it spoils the momentum. You sometimes have to get out of the throttle. But look, there's just no grip from the rear of that car on these hard tyres.
And how is this going to be for them, Tom, to adjust? I mean, you look back at the last 2 rounds. We've been to Monaco, we've been to Baku. Couldn't be much more different coming now to Silverstone. Is there a bit of an adjustment period going on, do you think, in this practice session?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. As we see David Beckman on screen. They've got Amory Cordial's name on the side of that car, so just watch the car through the screen. So Amory Cordial is not here this weekend because he has notched up penalty points, 12 penalty points I think it is, after his best finish at Baku caused a bit of a stir. And what's on the side of that car? It does say Cordial, doesn't it?
Well, David Beckman, I tell you what, he could be a dark horse here this weekend. He has happy memories at this circuit. He won here in FIA Formula 3 back in 2020, and he also finished in the points here in FIA Formula 2 last year in the second sprint race as well. So David Beckman, who picked up the nickname as the Super Sub, he jumped in earlier in the season for Cheruzi, replaced Cem Bolibassi at Imola as well, and got in the top 10 there. So it could be one to watch, but the one we are watching on your screens now is Philippe Drugovich. He makes his way through Stoke Corner. He's the quickest driver through the second sector. He needs to find less than a tenth of a second to go to the top. Hits the brakes now into the left-hander. We see him coming through the final couple of corners, the car moving underneath him, but Philippe Drugovich out of the final corner across the line, 6/10 quicker, 140.839. How about that?
Fantastic times coming across the board then. I've just looked outside the commentary box window and it's not raining here in the UK in Grimsby, so it looks like it is going to rain at Silverstone. Usually if it blows over here, it's coming from Silverstone. We're sort of a straight line away from the track as well, as the clouds are circulating here as well. Drugovich top, Boccia second, Vips third. But that might change as Yuri Vips comes out the last corner. It's getting dark here at Silverstone. It's getting the greasiness out there as well. 141.339 for Vips. He goes second fastest. 23 minutes to go still left in this practice session. And it's all changing. Lawson goes third. Vesti goes eighth. Dropping Awasa and Fittipaldi down. Big slide from Logan Sargent as Pourchaire goes second. Sargent goes second now. 141.963 as well on the board. Some very strong lap times coming up there as well. Let's take a look. By the way, when do I join you? F3, F2 is all sessions, and FP2, FP3. FP3 tomorrow morning, synth is when you're in. For the F1 session as well, and yeah, all F3 and F2 sessions, bar the F2 sprint race, because I'm commentating on Formula E with Edward Hunter, so Megan Birch and Ian Birch are taking the F2 sprint. Me and you are back for the F2 feature on Sunday, well, except for practice F2 and F3. Yeah. Join for quality later if you like as well. Drugovich's time has been cancelled as a big black rain cloud has now lunged over the start-finish straight here at Silverstone for F2 practice. The chances of rain are looking higher and higher.
See replay of Yuri Vips clips the curb through there. That's caught a few drivers out over the years, where we've seen drivers towards the end of the race, particularly Tom, clip that curb and flick the car around. So got to be careful through there. Got away with it. Umbrellas
it's raining. It's raining.
Rain is coming down. It
is raining.
British Grand Prix is a race that always throws up unpredictable weather, and it's already happening.
It wouldn't be Henley, Wimbledon or Silverstone if it wasn't for rain. We've had quite a good summer so far, a bit of test match cricket even, but as soon as you put those three together, it rains. Well, that's being in Silverstone for you in June, July. So yeah, we are still, well, it's 1st of July, isn't it, today? So that's what British summertime looks for you. The brollies are up and rain.
Yeah, rain is here. And I'm just being told that during the Formula 3 practice session, there was a sniffer dog in the F1 commentary box. If you go to Harry Benjamin's Twitter, and the sniffer dog knocked one of the chairs over, and it nearly hit the poor thing. Oh, I hope that dog is okay. It looks like it is, but there was a sniffer dog in the commentary box as well. Standard procedure here at Silverstone as well. Not only do the sniffer dogs go around everywhere else, they go in every single commentary box, every single area as well, just to make sure nothing is brought into the track. It is raining here at Silverstone as well. And right now it's the light psychological rain where you can see it coming down. It's not affecting the track grip. That's because air temperature maybe it's 16.6, but track temperature, as you can see, is at 26.7 degrees. So it is quite a hot track temperature to sort of bake it off as well. 20 minutes to go in this session then. We've had 25 minutes. of this, and it's looking quite okay so far. Bring it on, guys.
He's gone quickest around this circuit. He's another driver with a great history around Silverstone. He took both poles here back in 2020 in FIA Formula 3 and took a first and a third as well when he comes off the back of his best ever results in FIA Formula 2. Now, psychologically, we were talking about the rain there, but people might be watching practice, and if you're joining us for a practice session for the first time, first of all, welcome to you, and where have you been all this time? What does it do, Tom? You've worked with drivers over the years, and you've raced yourself. What does it do for a driver's confidence
it's getting heavier now,
into a
this
qualifying
rain
session, which we're doing later this afternoon, when you've gone quickest in practice?
Well, rhythm's everything. And I talked about it in Formula 3 practice earlier on, the psychological element behind human performance, we know is something that's talked about a lot, but how do you be the best that you can be under all the pressure of a performance environment on sometimes the most important days of your life? It's really difficult, and drivers and human beings and athletes, no different. You tend to focus on the outcome, and then if you focus on the outcome, you get nervous, you get apprehensive, you're worried, you fear failure. And it's all about trying to block the outcome out of your mind and start to focus on the process. So how do you get to the outcome? What is your process? Stick to the process, focus on the process, and the sort of outcome takes care of itself. But that's the sort of basic model, but it is challenging, and it's all about confidence and momentum. And if you are quickest in practice, you obviously carry that confidence and that momentum into qualifying. There'll be moments now for these drivers and also the teams and engineers where they'll know where their car is. Have they rolled the car out of the truck, so to speak? And is the car in a good balance? For some of the teams here and the drivers, they'll be thinking, oh crikey, this doesn't feel right, or I've got a good balance, but the lap time's not there, for example. So at this moment in practice, you're starting to get a flavour as to where you are, and you now have to start working towards optimising that performance and that balance throughout the weekend.
Ollie Caldwell still circulating out there on the circuit as well, and he's currently down in 12th position as the rain starts to come down here at Silverstone. It's quite hard in the first sector, and the national pitch straight, it looks quite dry at the moment as well. We caught up with Ollie Caldwell earlier on today. Here he is, speaking with Laura Winter.
I am the most excited I've been all season. It's a different atmosphere to be at Silverstone. I've been here to watch the race a few times, you know, with crowds. Unfortunately, I couldn't race here with crowds in 2020, but the atmosphere here is always amazing. I think it's one of the best of the year. So to be able to race here and knowing it's a sellout weekend, I'm so excited. And just to have a home race in the first place is awesome. So there's a feeling that I have, and yeah, it's different to any race so far.
Wonderful chat, Ollie Caldwell, guys.
Race. Unfortunately, we don't have a race in India, so I have to count this one as my kind of home race. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Silverstone is a special track. You know, it's got a variety of high-speed corners, and it's challenging for us. So I'm looking forward to being back. You know, last year it was a lot of fun to drive. The races were interesting. So you know, hopefully more of that this year.
To be back here, it's amazing. I love the atmosphere. I think it's going to be crazy this weekend. There's bound to be a lot of fans, and from what the guys told me last year, they come in early to watch the F2 as well, which is nice.
Yellow sector 2, car off in the wall, and that is going to bring out for sure a red flag, and it has done so. Red flag, session stopped. It's Callum Williams who has gone straight on, I think, at the end of Cobb's corner. So that is a very nasty one. He's going the wall. Front end is off. He's okay. Car getting out, but red flag, and the session is suspended.
That's the main thing to see. Trying to drive it is out the car, so that's great stuff from Callum Williams to see, but a real big incident, it seems.
Yeah, huge.
And a real shame for Callum Williams, and that will be the end of his session, Tom.
Yeah, it's in the middle sector, isn't it? He's
can't tell where it is just yet.
Yeah, I'm just trying to have a look, because the front left is reasonably far into the...
Okay, let's take a look. It is down at Cobb's corner as well. So he's turned into Cobb's. I think he's going to have a spin at the back. Yeah, rear, let's go. 360's it. Gravel slows him down. and just collects the front left wheel as well to knock it off later. So that's a frightening accident as well at top speed at Kopp's corner. The gravel did its job to slow him down as well, and then a gentle hit into the tyre barrier as well. Should be okay. Car should be able to get going. But red flag out. Session stopped.
Probably say we shouldn't have been out at that moment, or I shouldn't have been pushing that hard. There's the Trident team. Now they look on because they've got work to do now. They've got to get that car back. Qualifying's later on this afternoon. His confidence will be disrupted. His learning will be disrupted. So he's already on the back foot now. A lack of track time in this practice session before he heads into qualifying. A lack of confidence having found the wall, and his weekend, it'll be a bit of an uphill struggle.
Yeah,
Caleb Williams there out of the car. Didn't hit the wall too hard, to be honest with you. The tarmac runoff whilst he was spinning, the retardation evident, and then bounced across the gravel into the wall with the front left. I wonder how much or if any damage there is to the rear left, because that's the problematic area of the car, Chris, isn't it, with the gearbox, the drive shaft, that kind of stuff.
Well, he comes off the back of having a big incident as well at Baku, went into the barriers hard there at the first corner on that last safety car restart. There is his teammate, Richard Vishaw, the only person on the grid to take a race win round here in FIA Formula 2, and did that in the sprint race here last year, sprint race number 2.
Red flag is out, so session is fully suspended now.
Here's another replay, Tom. Talk us through it.
Yeah, you can just see him lift, turn in, and the rear tyres crying enough. It's a continuous theme. This hard tyre is a really tricky tyre, and he's got very early on the rear axle going past the slip angle, over-rotating. You're just a passenger. There's no catching that, by the way. It's not like you can just balance the car with some oversteer there, because you lose a huge amount of downforce once you go past a certain slip angle. So the car, essentially you're just a passenger. Like I said at the time, you're traveling to the scene of your own accident. So Caleb Williams, as soon as he turned in and the car started to swap ends, knows that he's off. And we saw Dennis Hauger early on have a similar incident at Abbey, but managed to spin down the track. At Kopp's corner there, if you have that type of incident on the way in, it's really fast. It's sort of 150 mile an hour on the way in there. And the pit wall, it's a difficult entrance because you can't see all the way through the corner until you turn in. And if you're looking through the corner waiting for a turn in, you've missed the entry. So you've got to turn in without being able to see through the corner. That's difficult for a driver. And it is actually, if you look and you stand on the start and finish straight there, or the old start and finish straight on the exit of Woodcote down to Kopp's, it's a really quite it almost looks like a 90 right. It's quite an aggressive entry, and you need lots of confidence there to carry speed. Obviously Caleb Williams with all the confidence, but not the adhesion underneath it.
And what's that going to do now to his confidence? Next time he's on a flying lap, he's going down to Kopp's first flying lap on the soft tyre. He's got to take a lot of speed through there. Mentally, the last time he went through there, he went off straight into the barriers. It's going to be a hard thing to overcome in qualifying, isn't it?
Yeah, and if you're slow through Kopp's, you might not, on the soft tyre, use the brake at all through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. You might just be able to get away with some adhesion on the downshift and the direction change to get the car settled to fire through Chapel, which is the slower of the 3 corners through that sequence. You might not use the brake from Luffield all the way round to Stowe. So if you are slow through Kopp's, you're going to lose a huge amount. It could be anything up to 1.5 seconds up to Stowe corner.
Well, as we are in practice, the clock does keep rolling, so we are losing valuable track time.
We are indeed. It's down now to 10:38 as well, so we're losing a lot of time in this session. Logan Sargent is top, though. Dew in second, Portier third, Vips fourth, Lawson in 5th position, Drugovich 6th as well, as they try desperately to remove some of the wing that's stuck underneath the tyre barrier as well, just wiggling it out. It's in there like a door wedge as well, one of the front wing end plates has now been got away, and that's a nice little souvenir for one of the British marshals out here as well. Wind is increasing here at Silverstone. The chances that we are going to have a very much of a washout day looks exciting. Tomorrow, Saturday, looks even better as well. Chances of rain is hanging in the air as well, and that's going to be dramatic if they cancel the F1 qualifying session as well. Because sunset's not till late here, so how long is it going to take? Because I've got to commentate on the Formula E Marrakesh race, but don't worry, we have a backup situation. I'll go into the commentary box and start commentating on it as well. Channel 4, though, I think are commentating on it as well, so that'll be a difficult one for them. Anyway, tomorrow is another day as we come out here on the circuit. Back to you guys.
A respectable lap time, all the way down in 22nd, a 2:05.632, so big problems going on for Dennis Hauger after we saw that off at Abbey earlier in the session.
Well, he's compromised because he's used his tyres. That's the issue for Hauger. Used a set of tyres up, and they're compromised through the weekend in terms of their tyre strategy. And yeah, he'd be frustrated with that, because if you look at his lap time, it's not representative.
Yeah.
Because although he's done 8 laps, they were all sort of scrubbing tyres in and out, that kind of stuff. So Hauger with an uphill struggle. Those that have been at Silverstone will not be too enamored.
Lance Stroll's arrived in his
Stroll
helicopter.
arriving there.
Good morning, Lance.
Similar to the helicopter you flew in this morning, Chris, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I saw you getting off the bus, so...
I had a 3-wheeler.
Yeah, I'll give...
Lance Stroll coming in, and of course the driver's press conference happened yesterday, so not needed today is the drivers until just in the morning. And I think it's now for the remainder of the season that on Thursdays we're going to have the drivers press conference, because everyone's already here as well, and many of the drivers complained that putting it on the Friday morning meant that they were actually doing more rather than less. So press conference is now on the Thursday, and they get a line on the Friday as well. They don't have to be here until a couple of hours before the start of practice, and it all helps the body routine. So that's a new thing this year as well, with the red flag out there, the car now just being retrieved back across now of Callum Williams. It's now directly into the pit lane of the Formula 2 pits as well, where it is. So it's already taken across the net there. So it's right back in where it needs to be. Green flag will come out then in around about 60 seconds. Session will resume at 11:23. So that is in 40 seconds time. 30 seconds time here in the UK. Not bad at all.
He was a very successful karting driver, raced with a in
we lost our TV pictures.
One of the most successful teams, Clement Novalak, hugely successful karting racer, and has jumped up the order very quickly, a BRDC British F3 champion as well, so knows his way
Green
around
flag.
the British circuits very quickly. He won here back in 2019 and also finished on the podium here in FIA Formula 3 in 2020 as well. Okay, we are green. Logan Sargent,
where we
who's
go?
currently quickest, gets his foot down and will get out of the pit lane. So just under 7 minutes to go in practice for FIA Formula 2. Drivers make...
This will be a crucial session as well now, because it's going to be like if it's a red flag in qualifying later on today, they're going to head straight out there and get all the times they need to and find the right situation. It's going to be tremendously exciting as well. Massive rainstorm outside and the loudest thunder and lightning outside our commentary box at the moment as well. So that explains why our pictures broke up and as well. So very loud thunder and lightning, guys.
But then we've got this almighty scrap for fourth place going on. Logan Sargent in fourth place on 59 points. Frederick Vesti in 12th on 41 points. There's 18 points there between Fred Vesti down in 12th and up in fourth place Logan Sargent. And there he is. So a good weekend for Frederick Vesti. Could see him climb 6 or 7 places in the standings. And he's coming off the back of a pretty good weekend as well.
Yeah, his first win in the category last time out at Baku, so wins so often like a London bus, they tend to not appear, and then when one comes along, they all come along, and that will be certainly how Frederick Vesti hopes the situation will develop over this weekend. Logan Sargent quickest at the moment in the Carlin car. He raced around the British tracks with Carlin way back in British Formula 4, so does know the team, know the tracks reasonably well.
I'll tell you one thing, I've just got a text saying about that Thunder and Lightning here in the UK commentary box, which are about an hour away, 2 hours away from Silverstone, and it is absolutely monstrous outside. Thunder and Lightning was the loudest bang you've ever heard. That explains why our TV pictures broke up just before the session restarted and why we're a little bit behind. But my goodness me, is this turning into an exciting situation here today if it rains like that at Silverstone?
Almost the brains behind the operation there. Incredibly fast racing driver in his own right, and that does help as we see the traffic jam on the exit
last corner traffic,
or the entry to the club chicane. This is something we might see.
There goes another bottle of lightning.
I was talking to Jake Hughes before the weekend, and he said, watch out for drivers running in the gap here because traffic will be an issue, and you need the clean air, you need the momentum around this track. It's a big track, but you can't afford to stumble over other cars, and we might see drivers running in that gap in qualifying later on this afternoon, so that's something to watch out for. Jake Hughes, very informative, talked about his time with his new team, of course, Van Amersfoort, and their learning curve, racing against stalwarts in this championship, ART, Prema, Carlin, you know, big names who have got their head around this car, and Van Amersfoort doing a good job with Jake
really
Hughes
good,
at the helm
really good
to try and chip into those successes that the big teams have had, if you like.
And they've done a fantastic job. Because not only did they jump into Formula 2, they jumped into Formula 3. They got pole straight away with Franco Colapinto in Formula 3. With Jake Hughes, they finished, okay, they got disqualified from that race, something they took a lesson from, but they proved they can finish on the podium back at Jeddah when he finished third on circuit, and he has started from the front of the grid.
Yellow, we've got a yellow flag, sector 2, not sure why just yet, that's why. Spinner at Luffield, it's Marino Sato, who has gone straight on down at Luffield. So this might be another red flag because he's stopped on the circuit. He's quite far out, just near an opening, so maybe they will throw a virtual safety car. Drugovich goes top, 140.939, but Sato stays there. Boschong 10th, Novalaki goes 14th as well. Solid yellow at the moment, no sign of a red flag. There we go. So session stopped just as Logan Sargent goes top with a 149.02. Red flag is out with 2:30 left on the clock, so that will be it. Session will not resume here for the F2 practice. Red flag out again.
It looks as though it's a mechanical failure because he's looking at the rear of the car and he's pulled off into a reasonably safe spot, but of course they need to recover that Virtuosi machine, and problems for Sato and Virtuosi.
Well, that ends
this
the
is a
session now.
replay from Philippe Drugovich, Tom.
Oh, we didn't snap it far.
It's that entry oversteer, isn't
Happy
it?
at farm,
that we've seen throughout this session. These hard tyres are tricky, and they're not filling the drivers with an awful lot of confidence. There are bumps down at Abbey, but that's an awful lot of oversteer that early on in the corner. There's Trevor Carlin on the right-hand side.
Worked with several good drivers over the years, hasn't he?
Just a few. But what I like about Trevor is it doesn't matter whether or not you're the next greatest thing or you're learning your trade and you're struggling away. He will put an arm around absolutely everyone, and he treats everyone exactly the same way, and that for me is really, really important.
Session will not resume, by the way.
Fantastic lineup this year. It hasn't quite gone Liam Lawson's way this season, but there still is a long way to go this season, and Logan Sargent is just starting to find some brilliant form, isn't he? And he's one driver that's jumped up from FIA Formula 3, and he's had to work very, very hard to get that seat as well. Carlin, one of 3 teams who it's their home race this weekend. How much it would mean to them to go and take the win here this weekend.
So checker flag is out then. You know what that means? It finishes this practice session here with 24 seconds left. Let's go through the results then. Logan Sargent on top, 1:49.02. Philippe Drugovich second. Jack Doohan third. Awasa fourth. Porcher fifth. Lawson sixth. Seventh for Nazani. Eighth Druvala. Ninth is Vips. 10th for Armstrong. 11th for Boschong. 12th for Vesti. 13th for Tapaldi. 14th Novalak. And 15th for Ollie Caldwell. 16th for Callum Williams, 17th for Shaw, 18th Hughes, 19th Pollock Bassi, 20th for Marino Sato, who's top of the track. And Rui Cordial is 21st, facing, does have a race ban if I remember correctly, and 22nd for Dennis Hauger as well. So that's it. Session is over. Checker flag has run out here at Silverstone. We get ready then. Next up, it'll be the Grand Prix preview in around about 45 minutes. Go grab some lunch. And after that, it'll be the first practice session for Formula One's British Grand Prix. F2 qualifying coming up later on today at 5:30. Join us for that. It's Logan Sargent who tops us to begin with. Thanks for your company. We'll see you later. Bye for now.